friends! Welcome to my channel. My name is Sid and this is Sydney Reads. So for Christmas this year, I decided to reread one of my favorite holiday books, which is the Dash&Lily's Book of Dares series. And this year, they also came out with a Netflix series which is called Dash&Lily. Ever since that show came out, I've been wanting to watch it, but I decided to wait up until the holidays so I can reread the entire series and then watch the TV show. And that's exactly what I did. In this video, I'm going to give you my review of the entire Dash&Lily series from the trilogy to the Netflix series. So we have a lot to talk about today, so let's get ahead and get started. So first, let's talk about the first book, which is the Dash&Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levitin. This book is about Dash and Lily, who are two teenagers living in New York, and the story started when Lily left a red notebook in this bookstore called The Strand. This notebook contains a list of dares, and whoever finds it needs to follow the challenges listed in the notebook. So Dash just happened to stumble upon this red notebook. From there, they found unique ways to pass the notebook back and forth while doing these dares they give to each other. I've read this book a couple of times throughout the years because I love reading this during the holidays. But this time, I decided to listen to the audiobook, and it is a very different experience since I got to hear the characters and I got to hear their expressions. I can say that I still really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, which is what I've given it before. But the only difference is before, I used to really like Dash's character. I think that he is very smart for his age. But this time, I liked Lily better because Dash is just so pretentious and snobby, and Lily is just this very positive, very sweet person, and I absolutely prefer Lily this time around. She's just such a likable character, both in the books and in the series, and I feel like she is actually the heart of this story. So I saw one Goodreads review about this book, and the reviewer said that Dash and Lily didn't seem like teenagers to her, and I feel the complete opposite because I actually believe that they are teenagers. For one, Lily sounds so young, like she sounds like a very sheltered 16-year-old with a very strict family, you know, and Dash just sounds like a very whiny and pretentious 17-year-old boy. And that's actually another thing I really like about this book is they really sound like teenagers to me, and their struggles are very teenage-like, you know, and so they're very fun to read, and I absolutely love the first book. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. This is actually my favorite in the whole entire series. So let's move on to the second book, which is The 12 Days of Dash and Lily. And this story happens 1 year after the events in the first book. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but this book is about Dash and Lily's story after they got together. This one is a little bit different from the first book since we don't have the elements of the dares anymore for the most part. So this is mostly about Dash and Lily's struggle with their relationship and how to communicate to each other. And I still really like this book. It has the sweetness of the first book. It's a very adorable Christmas story, but I can say that I like the first book way better than this one. But yeah, it's still a very cute second book to this series. Okay, now let's move on to the third book, which is called Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily. And to be honest, I didn't even know that this book existed. I think this was released last year. This book is about Dash and Lily's third Christmas together, and Dash is off to college. He got into Oxford, so he's off to London, and Lily stayed in New York. She took a gap year and started to make dog crafts, and she became a really popular online dog craft seller. For Christmas, Lily decided to visit Dash in London so that they can celebrate the holidays together. So first, let me tell you that I didn't like this book at all. I just didn't think this was needed in the series. It didn't do anything. There's a lot of unneeded conflict that was solved in like 2 chapters at the end of the book. And I feel like they ruined Lily's character for no reason. Like, we get it, she loves dogs, but like, is that the only thing she wants to do? I don't think so. I was really disappointed, and yeah, I'd give it 2 out of 5 stars. So now let's talk about the Netflix series, which is Dash and Lily, and it follows the events in the first book, which is Dash and Lily's Book of Theirs, and it stars Austin Abrams as Dash and Midori Francis as Lily. First of all, I really like the casting on this. I love that they made Lily Asian. I don't think she was Asian in the books, but it actually makes sense that she's Asian, and I loved Boomer. When I was watching the clips, I was very sure that I'm going to love this show, but to be honest, I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. But I still really enjoyed it. I still think that it's such a cute holiday story. Yeah, if you're just looking for a sweet, adorable Christmas story, this is definitely the show to watch. But there's a lot of differences between the book and the series, and for the most part, I already expected that, and it didn't matter to me that much. However, there are some details that I really didn't like that they changed. Dash's character was really accurate, like a lot of details was spot on. But what annoys me is that they changed a lot with Lily's plotline, and I hate that because Lily's my favorite character. The first detail is when Lily calls herself a weird girl. So in the series, the reason why Lily calls herself like a weird girl and was very insecure about it was because one Christmas she made this handmade bracelets from old clothes, and she gave it away to her classmates, and she gave one to this boy who she seems to have a crush on, and his name is Edgar Thibault. Then she overheard that Edgar Thibault was calling her a weird girl behind her back, and ever since then she's been very insecure, and she saw herself as someone who is weird and who does not fit in with the crowd. And that's not what happened in the book at all. In the book, the reason why Lily was dubbed as weird or different was because when she was young, Edgar Thibault, same guy, killed her gerbil in class, I think. She freaked out and she shrieked, and they started calling her Shrilly, which means shrieking Lily. And now every time something happens and she freaks out, she was dubbed as this Shrilly. And that's why she thinks she's weird. It doesn't always have to be about a boy telling you something and that would make you insecure for the rest of your life. You know, so I didn't really like that they changed that. They could have just made up a different thing instead of like her crush telling her she's weird and now she's insecure about it. That's the first thing. And another thing that they changed was Lily's family, especially her grandpa. In the book, I don't think it was mentioned that they were Asian, but that's not the problem. The problem was they made grandpa seem like this grumpy Asian grandfather. In the book, he's strict, but it's not that strict, you know? He actually tries to be a cool grandpa. That's the vibe I was getting from the grandpa in the book, but they actually made him like this very negative person. And in the book, he was not fighting with his sister, Mrs. Basil E. They actually have a very nice relationship. So I don't know why those details were added. The last thing I can say was there's not enough dogs in this series. In the book, Lily is a dog walker, so she's surrounded by dogs all the time. That's actually like one of the defining characteristics of her character. She loves dogs and she wants to get a dog, and in the first book she actually got a dog. So yeah, but having said that, I still truly enjoyed this series. Please don't let me keep you from watching this series. This is actually a very adorable story. I just think that my enjoyment was affected because I already know this story. I've already read the book too many times before. So if you haven't read the book, I think you would probably enjoy the series way more than I did. Overall, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. So that's it, guys. That's the end of my review of the entire Dash&Lily franchise. Yeah, I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't subscribed yet. And I hope that you're having a nice holiday, and see you guys again on my next video. Bye!